3 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even 10, you thought your life would look completely different by now. And that's the thought that keeps following you around. Not loudly, quietly. While you're driving, while you're working, while you're brushing your teeth. A question that appears out of nowhere and ruins the next hour. What am I doing with my life? The scary part isn't that you don't have an answer. The scary part is that you're starting to wonder if there is one, because right now, someone your age is getting married. Someone is buying their first house. Someone is starting a company. Someone is traveling the world. Someone is becoming everything they said they would become. And you feel like you're standing still, watching life happen from behind a glass wall. Close enough to see it, too far away to touch it. But before you blame yourself, there's something you need to understand. Because the feeling that you're wasting your life isn't always a warning. Sometimes it's an illusion. And modern life has become exceptionally good at creating it. Think about what happens before you've even had breakfast. You wake up, reach for your phone, and within minutes, you've met hundreds of people. The entrepreneur making 6 figures, the fitness coach with the perfect body, the couple living their dream life, the friend who somehow seems happier than ever, the 22-year-old millionaire, the 30-year-old CEO, the traveler posting photos from places you've never seen. Your brain sees all of them, and then something strange happens. Without asking permission, it turns their lives into a measuring stick for yours. Now your ordinary morning feels inadequate. Your normal progress feels slow. Your life starts looking smaller than it really is. And that's where the trap begins. Because for most of human history, people compared themselves to a village. Today, you compare yourself to the entire world every day. Imagine asking a person from 200 years ago to compete with millions of people simultaneously. They'd think it was insane. Yet, that's exactly what your brain is trying to do. No wonder you're exhausted. No wonder you feel behind. But here's the thing. The feeling of wasting your life usually isn't caused by a lack of progress. It's caused by a lack of visible progress. And those are very different things. Imagine planting a tree. The next day, it looks the same. A week later, the same. A month later, almost identical. If you looked at it every day, you'd swear nothing was happening. Then, 5 years pass, and suddenly it's towering above you. Growth is weird like that. It's invisible while you're inside it. The same thing happens with your life. You don't notice becoming wiser. You don't notice becoming stronger. You don't notice learning lessons that would have broken you years ago. You don't notice your standards changing, your thinking changing, your confidence changing, because those changes happen too slowly to feel. But that's only half the story, because there is another reason this feeling hurts so much, and it's much deeper. You see, most people think they're afraid of failure. They're not. What they're really afraid of is uncertainty. Failure has an ending. Uncertainty doesn't. You can survive a bad outcome. What's harder is waking up every morning not knowing whether you're moving in the right direction, not knowing if your efforts matter, not knowing if you're making a mistake. And because uncertainty feels uncomfortable, the brain starts looking for evidence. Evidence that you're lost. Evidence that you're wasting your life. Suddenly, every success story becomes proof that you're failing. Every achievement you see becomes another reminder of what you haven't done. Every milestone becomes a deadline you think you've missed. But have you ever noticed something strange? The finish line keeps moving. Think back to a goal you desperately wanted years ago. Getting a job. Maybe it was getting into college, moving out, making more money. At some point, you achieved something you once dreamed about, and for a moment, it felt amazing. Then life moved on, and your brain picked a new target, a bigger one, a harder one, a more distant one. That's because the human mind is terrible at arriving. It constantly focuses on what's missing, not what's present, which means you can spend your entire life achieving things and still feel like you're falling behind. Now, here's the part almost nobody talks about. What if the problem isn't that you're wasting your life? What if the problem is that you've defined life too narrowly? Somewhere along the way, many people started believing that a meaningful life must look impressive. It must be extraordinary, ambitious, remarkable, worth posting, worth talking about, worth admiring. But who decided that? Think about the people who changed your life. Maybe a teacher, a friend, a parent, a mentor, someone who showed up when you needed them, someone who listened, someone who cared. Most of them probably weren't famous. Most of them weren't wealthy. Most of them weren't extraordinary by society's standards. Yet they mattered deeply because meaning and impressiveness are not the same thing. And confusing the two has made millions of people miserable. The truth is that some of the most meaningful lives ever lived looked completely ordinary from the outside. No headlines, no followers, no viral success. Just people who loved deeply, helped others, created things, learned things, laughed often, stayed curious, and experienced life while they had the chance. Maybe that's why so many successful people still feel empty. Because achievement can solve many problems, but it cannot answer a question it was never designed to answer. What makes life meaningful? Only you can answer that. And that's both terrifying and freeing, because it means nobody else gets to define your timeline. Nobody else gets to define your purpose. Nobody else gets to decide when your life officially begins. And maybe that's what you've been waiting for without realizing it. Permission. Permission to stop measuring your life against people who are living completely different ones. Permission to stop treating every year like a performance review. Permission to stop believing that your value depends on how quickly you reach someone else's destination. Because life isn't a race. But not for the reason people usually say. It's not a race because races have a finish line. Life doesn't. There is no moment when a voice announces that you've finally made it. No trophy waiting at the end. No scoreboard revealing whether you won. There is only today, and then another today, and another. A collection of ordinary moments that eventually become your entire existence. Which means the quality of your life is not determined by where you're going. It's determined by how you're spending the days that take you there. And suddenly the question changes. Instead of asking, am I wasting my life? You start asking, am I paying attention to it? Because you can waste years chasing goals that don't matter to you, but you can also build a beautiful life through small moments that nobody else notices. A conversation, a walk, a skill, a book, a friendship, a dream you're brave enough to start. Tiny things, repeated often, until one day they become your life. So if you've been feeling behind lately, if you've been convinced that everyone else has figured something out that you haven't, remember this. You are comparing your everyday reality to other people's carefully selected moments. You are judging a story that is still being written, and most importantly, you are expecting yourself to have answers that even the people you admire don't have. The truth, almost nobody knows exactly what they're doing. They just keep moving, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one uncertain step at a time. And maybe that's enough, because one day, many years from now, you won't care whether you got there faster than everyone else. You won't care how many people were ahead of you or behind you. You'll care about something much simpler, whether the life you lived actually felt like yours. Because wasting your life isn't moving slowly. Wasting your life isn't being confused. Wasting your life isn't taking a different path. Wasting your life is spending your entire existence trying to win a race you never wanted to run. And the moment you stop running that race, you might discover that your life was never behind at all.